Samsung's latest foldables are here, with incremental improvements that could make a difference if you're still on the fence when it comes to jumping into this category of smartphone. The thing is, Samsung also continues to ask a bit much of newcomers to their Z lineup. So do you have to bend over backwards just like these phones in order to enjoy them? Well, let's talk about that, and we will over the coming days because it's Joshua Vergara. What's going on, everybody? Here's a look at the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 6 and the Z Flip 6. Some disclaimers: Samsung did fly me out to New York City and put me up in a hotel for a few days so that I would have ample time to check out these new devices, but also to watch Unpacked as it is happening IRL out in Paris. The extra time here in the city, though, is also affording me the opportunity to really get into my day one with, in particular, the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 6, because that's the one that I'm a bit more intrigued with when it comes to the upgrades that happened this year. Look forward to my day one video on that phone, but also look forward to my thoughts on the Galaxy Watch Ultra and the Galaxy Ring, both of which I should be wearing in the next week or so I can give you my thoughts on them in future videos. So subscribe to my channel so you know when everything comes out. I'm going for the Z Fold 6 first this time around because it actually surprised me a little bit. At first, it doesn't really look like much has changed, but the phone is the tiniest bit more stout, meaning it's a wee bit shorter and a wee bit wider. On top of all that, the rounded corners and edges have been sharpened up, making for a more squared out design that affords the displays just that little bit more real estate. The result is a foldable experience that just seems larger, even if it really isn't by much. What is significant about this change to me, however, is how it contrasts the fact that the Z Fold 6 is lighter, nimbler, and quite a bit more grippable for me compared to any other large foldables. Now, while its 239-gram weight is not an anomaly in the world of foldables, it is still appreciated considering how every fold felt before it. And the flatter sides and sharper corners make it feel like a more deliberate tool, one that sits very squarely in the pocket and in the hand. Those small changes alone might actually make me use the Z Fold 6 as a main for the first time in a while. And the small adjustments to the design really matter. Picking this thing up, we usually know it's a bit of a brick because it is a foldable, but now with the lighter weight, it's more comfortable to use. And with the squared off design, you feel a little bit more confident in the grip of the device. Now, that's not to say the Galaxy Z Flip 6 isn't attractive, because it is definitely bringing the style. That starts with the colorways, as Samsung is going in more with the paint jobs compared to last year when the color was just a back panel on top of a black frame. No, this time you're getting the colors throughout the frame, and even in these fat accent lines that are around the camera package. You know me, when it comes to the Flip, I'm all about that yellow edition, and now the entire thing, well, basically, is yellow. This is the color that I definitely want for my Flip. Hopefully I do get it for my review unit. The Z Flip 6 retains the overall feel of the previous generation, keeping its rounded edges and corners both in the frame and in the display. Now, what I did notice is that the crease continues to get ever so slightly better each year, especially on the Flip. It's definitely more noticeable on the Fold still. The cover screen of the Flip also remains largely untouched, keeping the same shape and size while providing more options for customization and widgets and panels in the software. You can generate wallpapers, you can put pictures and videos on there, and have multiple widgets now put together on pages of the cover display for proper personalization. Speaking of colors, the Galaxy Z Fold 6 might feel a little bit more proper in its shape, but it also has some new shades, even diving into a pink colorway to go alongside the navy and silver. Both phones also come in white and a new crafted black that looks like carbon fiber on the back, but those two are only available on Samsung.com. Now, as you might expect, the new when it comes to these smartphones comes in the maybe a bit more dreaded two-letter buzzword of AI, but I'll get to that a little bit more later. Before then, let's round out the specs. Performance gets the yearly boost with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 for Galaxy this year, with the vapor chamber getting put into the Galaxy Z Flip 6 for the first time in the smaller phone lineup. The Z Flip also gets a larger battery at 4,000 mAh. As far as the cameras go, the Galaxy Z Flip 6 gets the biggest upgrade by making the main sensor a 50-megapixel shooter, much like the one that the Folds have and still rock. That should make it a bit better for the budding content creator using the phone's body as a tripod, or for people just trying to get some good selfies with a wave of the hand. Or you can even go a bit retro because Samsung put their take on the camcorder mode in the camera app now too. On the other hand, the Galaxy Z Fold 6 gets a new sensor in the 12-megapixel ultra-wide. That is meant to increase the quality in both photo and video, hopefully thus putting every shooter in the triple camera setup more on par with one another. From the camera we get to the gallery, where we find that generative AI continues on the creative side with features like the Portrait Studio, which is accessed in the gallery app after taking pictures of specifically one person at a time. The Portrait Studio then asks for a prompt to generate renditions based on your visage, with the resulting photos perhaps working as a fun alternative profile picture perhaps? I don't know. You tell me. Another generative feature is called Sketch to Image, which you can actually use in the Samsung Notes app to do a crude drawing and then feed that into the AI so it can create some sort of art piece from it. This might make a bit more sense on the Fold with an S Pen, but it is available on both phones. Sketch to Image can actually be used on pictures as well, so maybe adding mustaches to people's faces might actually make them look like they have legit facial hair now. Other AI features include ones that we've seen from the most recent S series. Transcription, translation, summarization. Samsung Notes, for example, now allows for audio recordings to be captured right in a note, which can then be transcribed and summarized on the spot. Short prompts in messaging apps can be conflated into bigger messages of varying tones by using the Samsung keyboard. And one nice implementation that I saw of a dual screen device is how the outer screen on either phone can be presented to someone you might be talking to when you're using Live Translate. It might feel like the phones this year aren't getting that much by way of upgrades. That might be true on paper, but Samsung does succeed in making these phones actually feel a bit fresher. I say that more about the Galaxy Z Fold 6 because of how it is approaching its displays this year in an overall lighter device. The Z Flip 6 continues to be a stylish option for those prioritizing practicality, but a better main sensor could actually push it closer to being a proper replacement to many bar-style phones that tend to have better cameras anyway. If you ask me, a future where the Galaxy Z Fold has an outer display that is as big as the inner display of the Galaxy Z Flip, that is a future that I feel like I could really get behind. But in the incremental upgrades comes the usual perspective, that this is peak Galaxy Z Flip and peak Galaxy Z Fold. The thing is, both phones carry a premium this year, a little bit of a higher price compared to last year. We'll see how far the advancements actually make these phones feel like upgrades you need or even want to do trade-ins for. And if this is the year that many people actually decide to try something new from Samsung's foldables. But the fact remains that for another year, Samsung seems content with refining the formula rather than redefining it. With all that said, I'm going to go ahead and call it on this one. Thank you so much for hanging out with me again today. Please take care of yourselves and each other, and enjoy your tea, everybody.